Yeah, should I go grab that from downstairs? Yeah, I'll go grab it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, give me just a second.
Here it goes down.
There we go. What's up, everybody? See it? Oh,
Is it working?
yeah, I think we
we
should
on?
be good. Yeah, we're live. Sorry.
Okay.
We had a lot of technical things we were trying to get going at the last minute. So we got it going. I'm here with Rusty, and we got Dave as always in the background. And we're going to bring up our buddy Josh in a minute here too. So, and Albert might be popping in. I'm not sure. So he sounded like it in our Instagram chat. So Mike is in the chat as well. And so we were going to chat a little bit about bikepacking.com's Monumental route, Monumental Loop. So it's in New Mexico, southern New Mexico?
Southern New Mexico.
Southern New Mexico, which I haven't been to. I've only been to, well, I kind of came through a lot of state, but I haven't been where you guys were really.
No.
So where'd you start? Did you start in Las Cruces, or that's the middle where the figure eight is?
Yeah, we started in Las Cruces. You come back through Las Cruces after a day or 2 days or 3 days, depending on how hard you want to ride and suffer a little bit. So.
Because it is a figure eight, right?
Yeah, it's well like we didn't really do it as a figure eight necessarily, but yeah, it's a figure eight. We did both loops clockwise, so it's kind of just like one continuous.
It's a double loop, regardless.
Yeah.
Cool. That's why I don't have Josh on here. Let me pull him up. So.
Las Cruces,
Go.
after a day or 2 days or 3 days, depending on how hard you want
Where are we
to
getting
ride
the
and
echo from?
a little bit.
Josh, do you have volume on somewhere besides? Do you have volume on YouTube?
We didn't really
I'll
do
check.
it as a figure eight necessarily.
There we go.
Perfect. So yeah, that's how long the stream is delayed compared to. That's why it makes it tough
Yeah,
to
it's like
deal
8
with the chat
seconds or something
sometimes.
like that. Yeah.
Anyway, so we got Josh here now as well. You're up in, I don't know what part of Cleveland you are. Somewhere in Cleveland, right?
I'm in Lakewood.
You're Lakewood, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's where everybody I know who's from Cleveland lives. So
Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. So
Yeah.
try it out sometime.
I'm familiar. I never left Ohio, unlike you.
Yeah,
Anyways, yeah, so then there's the one person who I haven't seen him in the chat yet was also your buddy Jeff, who was, so five?
There were 5 of us.
5 of us,
Yeah.
5 of you guys. And this was your idea?
It was Josh and I think collectively we kind of. I was overseas for a year right before I left. We just promised each other that we were going to do a trip to someplace warm.
No idea what happened.
No. There we go.
Okay.
All good.
Yeah, we just kind of promised each other we were going to do a trip someplace warm when I got back during the winter so we could escape the terrible weather.
Bullshit.
Yeah. You cursed before 10, so now I'm free to do it.
Aaron had this question, my girlfriend. So I've had Micah and Albert on after every one of their trips, and most of them where they've done a bikepacking.com route has been like some level of disaster. And so Aaron's been wondering, since you've watched those streams, you've
Uh-huh.
usually been in the
Yeah.
chat. What about the? Oh, Jeff's in here now too. But what about watching those two would make you think these are two guys I would want to invite on this trip? Aaron's words.
I don't know. They're down for adventure.
Down for adventure.
Pretty much, yeah. Like,
And their last one went smooth, I guess, but they did day rides instead of
yeah.
because the other ones.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
they also came back and survived after those. Regardless of how much disaster they got into, they still made it home.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, there's the stories of Albert hanging his panniers in a tree and just leaving.
Yeah, we heard that one a couple times, I think.
I don't think I've heard the panniers in a tree story. I'll have to get that one later.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of that was the one in North Carolina, I believe they did, where there was like a whole day of just walking up
or
boulders.
Virginia, one of the
Virginia, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the Virginia Creek?
It was like the Blue Ridge Parkway or something. Yeah.
I always hear that when it's funny because we'll talk about that too, but our buddy Dylan, who's usually in the chat as well, he'll be like, oh, I really want to do that route. I'm like,
Yeah.
Didn't you just see that?
Yeah.
Because I'm like someone who likes to ride my bike. I don't care how tough it is. Like when we were just in New England and like there was like slow going stuff. Long as I'm like could stay on my bike 90% of the time. I don't like to push my bike for miles and miles. And I'm guessing that you guys on a bikepacking.com route had some of that.
Yeah, there was some pushing. And yeah, that was a pretty cool section. I think the creator of the route is going to be in the chat tonight. I don't know.
Oh, because Micah told me you guys ended up getting to, not you, but
Yeah.
Josh and Jeff rode with them?
And Albert, yeah.
And Albert.
And Albert, yeah.
So he'll be able to talk a little bit about that if he pops in as well. But yeah, there was definitely some pushing. Like one long push, pretty much.
And the one thing that I thought was funny, I read like the synopsis of the route today, and they made it easier. From the description, it used to be like even more difficult.
I think Josh is more well read on that. All I pretty much know is the original route is what is now Dangerbird. And they do Dangerbird like in the spring or something like that. So, but Josh is definitely more well read on that. So,
I guess he was saying that he did the Colorado Trail, and then he basically came back from that and looked at bikepacking.com's rating, and it was like a 9 out of 10. And then he did his route, his Monumental loop, the original version, and was like, well, this is nothing like that. Like, this is nowhere near as hard. You have to push for like 75 miles on the Colorado Trail. So he rated his like a 6 comparatively. And then everybody that came out to try and do the original Monumental loop is like, this is a nightmare. What are you talking about? This is a 6. This is so hard. And so then he was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll reroute it a little bit. And so he kind of took out some of the really bad spots. But like you used to have to push a lot, apparently, on the Dangerbird route. There's a lot more chunk and a lot more sand, like deep sand.
yeah.
Yeah, I find it funny because we did the easiest bikepacking.com route and we did not finish it either over in Michigan. So
the North Country. Yeah.
So I mean, we just overestimated. Not that if we had planned more time, we could have, but we were still thinking we'd get 50, 60 miles done in a day.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, we
Their
definitely.
ratings. I tell everybody read the comments.
Yeah.
Are really important on bikepacking.com routes. See what people who are normal, not normal, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Those guys are all
pros.
just tough as hell. I
Yeah.
guess they must be.
Not bikepacking editors.
Yeah.
Yeah. We definitely overestimated how many miles we were going to get per day. So the first day we were a little bit behind. Second day we were kind of a little bit more behind. And then day 3 is kind of where we decided like, all right, one group is going to do this and the other group's going to do this. And we progressed from there. So I don't know. It worked out. We'll talk about that part later. But yeah.
What is to start off? Also, what is the weather like there this time of year? I was in New Mexico in the fall, so I'm guessing it's pretty similar. Is it getting still a little chilly at night and stuff?
It was like in the mid to upper 40s at night, and like perfect during the day, in my opinion. I lived in Arizona for 10 years, so I'm a little bit more accustomed to the like hotter weather, but I thought it was perfect. Josh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I think the daytime temperatures were fantastic up until day 4 when we split off. And then day 4, there was like no clouds. It was beaming, like it was hot that day. So we were moving through water a lot faster on day 4. I think most of the rest of the trip we were hovering in the upper 70s, and there was like clouds quite a bit. So you got some cloud cover, you had some nice breeze and stuff. It wasn't until like the cloud cover went away and there was no wind that it got pretty nasty.
In 40s at night, so upper 40s.
Yeah, upper
So you didn't
40s.
need to be
Yeah.
like overloaded on cold weather gear or anything.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was. I was actually very hot, especially on night 4. I was sweating so bad I had to take like clothes off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you use down as a,
I don't.
you won't use down?
No. Um, One thing with the weather that we had to deal with was, it's typically good weather this time of year, but especially Tucson, Las Cruces, like El Paso area, can get really strong winds. So we were gonna be out there. We had Sunday and Monday, and we were planning on like packing up our bikes on Monday and going back to El Paso to get ready to fly out. But we kind of planned it so that we would have an extra day on Sunday to kind of fart around, and maybe even part of the day on Monday to fart around on some single track and whatnot. But some weather rolled in. I think it was like 50-mile-an-hour sustained winds or something like that all day. So we kind of hunkered down that day. And Matt Mason, the creator of the route, was like putting out Instagram stories like, "I'm sorry to inform you that if you have somebody out on the loop today, they're having a terrible time." And
Really?
yeah, I mean, we were looking out the window like, yeah, it's that would suck. So
I would also, and this in our chat would, and doing these live streams would be interested in the gear choices. Dave, I don't know if you could find on the bridge screen, like even before you pull it up, any pictures of the bikes. Um,
mine's on Instagram. That's
yeah,
probably the easiest
we got
way.
some Micah photos too. I know Josh won't be able to see them, but anyways, you could search around if you want while we chat. I don't think it changes what's going on. No, it doesn't. So, sorry, I'm trying to work out like all the technical details, but I don't know. I guess if you want to start with your bike selection. Oh,
Yeah,
because you went single.
I'm just pointing out Patty's comment. Like, he lives in Tucson, which is not too far away. Apparently, we threaded the needle between 2 big storms, so perfect. Worked out. Awesome. So, I guess I'll talk about my bike. There's my bike.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's up on the screen.
we'll get it.
I'm
There we
not
go.
this guy, but
Yeah.
I rode my titanium Fargo, single speed, 29 plus.
What width tires?
2.8.
2.8.
29 by 2.8 Coronados.
Who makes the Coronado? I can't remember.
Terravale.
Terravale Coronados. Okay.
Apparently, Yonda hates that tire because it's not fast, but it was awesome. It worked out so
I don't
well.
think on this kind of.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, I'm
How much
bikepacking,
pavement is there on this route?
There's actually like the route on bikepacking.com says it's like 55% gravel and 45% paved, but there were a lot of sections along, especially along the southern loop, that said it was paved and it was not. It was gravel. So
I also
That seems
feel,
way overstated.
I also feel with like when you're running I don't know, loaded bikes and stuff like that, I never worry about how fast I feel like the tires roll. I think
Yeah.
that is so overrated.
yeah,
I mean, like, there's times when you're on a ride with friends where that matters. On loaded bikes, on like days on end,
Yeah.
like I don't think it matters as much.
yeah.
as
On a
people-
loaded bike, it's you're talking about, okay, an extra like little bit of rolling resistance or a little bit of extra weight if you're carrying something fancy or what. Like, who cares? I don't. Single speeders kind of care a little bit, but
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're working a little.
but I ran a 3621. It worked out pretty great. The only thing I really had to push was the same stuff that everybody had to push, and then there were a couple spots on the single track where it would get into a little punchy climb and I would lose traction because I was up out of the saddle. So I didn't really have to push much more than anybody else.
What is your seat pack? Did you add it?
Oh, that's Ortlieb. It's an Ortlieb seat pack. Swift Industries. What's the bigger one?
Oh, Zeitgeist on the
It's
front.
the Zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Okay, on the front. And then the frame bag and top tube bag are Rogue Panda out of Flagstaff.
So is your frame bag custom to fit that?
It
bike?
is, yeah.
Because what you send them a picture, right? Like of your dimensions.
I actually
when they-
don't have to do that with the Fargo because so many people have made Fargos. They just have a
Oh,
template.
they have one.
Yeah,
Nice for
so-
the size that you
Mhm.
have and everything.
Yeah. And then I just got a titanium seat post that I put on there, and so that caused a lot of annoyance because it's so compliant that every time I would hit a bump, it would like flex a little bit, and it would cause my seat bag to like squeak on it. So that was driving me crazy. I figured that out on like day 3. I just shoved my sandals further under my saddle, and that stopped the squeak there. So that took a while, but I figured it out.
I know that feeling because when we first started last summer on our trip, my bag, on just only certain instances would like just kind of touch the tire, and it wasn't enough to ruin anything, but it's still just annoying you, and you're like, enjoy your vacation, don't worry about it, and then it's like, no, I have to solve this, you know.
Yeah. And then other than the single speed, the other thing that made my bike unique was I was the only one on drop bars. I was running the Redshift Kitchen Sync bar. Everybody else is on like flat or alt bars. So that's it. That's my bike.
Let's see if we can find a picture of Josh. And Josh, I think they told me this was your first bike packing trip at all, right?
I've done a couple of overnighters, but no full like week-long trips like this. So yeah, first big one.
That might be the best. There's right next.
Tim, you want? I can't.
Oh, I
really
got
see the thumbnails.
Let's see if I could get a picture of
Find better
Josh's bike while we
close
have
up.
him. That's Micah's bike,
That's Micah.
which is
Micah
awesome.
pulled up a good picture of my campus with a palm leaf behind it at some point.
Oh, there we go. Do you want to switch back to that? Yeah, we got yours on. So you rode a Surly Krampus. Is that also a Rogue Panda frame bag, or?
Nope, that's a custom Fuzzy Stitchworks frame bag. So
of
shout out
course.
to the
Sorry.
team.
I should. know that.
I've had him up for a little while there on that and other frame bags. So I've got the Fuzzy full frame bag, bolt-on down tube, the Fuzzy top tube bag, 2 feeders, Rockgeist rear seat post pack. So I think that's the Fox Glove. It's an older one that they had before the merge with Porcelain Rocket. And then the front end is Rockgeist harness pack thing. I forget what they call that. And then their Nigel like front pouch thing.
And then what size? What kind of tires and what size are you running on the Krampus?
Rusty and I ran the same tires, 29 by 2.8 Terravale Coronados. Just something big, meaty, catch into the sand a lot better than something skinny. I thought they were fantastic.
Is that a maxed out width for the Krampus?
No, it could have fit 3s or maybe even a little over 3s.
Would you go wider if you went back, or would you stick with what you chose?
I think for the route we did, it was fine. I don't think you need more than a 2.8. Like you could definitely go to a 3, or even a little more, but I don't know that you would gain anything from it. A lot of the sections where the road is smoother, it's nice to have a little bit narrower. The spots where it's chunky, like I don't think that there was anything chunky enough that a 2.4 couldn't have handled it,
I will be that guy that like there were a couple people in our group that were running like 2.3s, and the route online it says recommended is 2.4, and man, some of those like sandy and chunky sections, like you can do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I was thinking like 2.6 minimum, but that's just me. I also like big tires, so.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
remember. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I remember when you guys were going to Micah and Albert were inviting me on their one trip out to Arizona. Which one was that? The Fool's Loop.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
Yeah, I was like, do not do it on 43s.
I only had the
You will
rally
have a
there.
bad
Yeah,
time.
Yeah, you were like, do not go out there. Yeah.
That one's definitely you want 2.6s for that one for sure. Like, Albert did it on skinnier tires, but Albert's also kind of crazy.
Jeff said he was on 2.1s and it was rough.
Yeah.
What is Jeff's bike? Is it just his
Gorilla
Allstate?
Monsoon.
Gorilla Monsoon. Yeah.
And fully rigid Gorilla Monsoon on 2.1s.
Yeah. Yeah, I know his bike, and then that just hit me. I'm like, that's what he has, right? Yeah, that's his last.
I feel like Jeff put it in the chat if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like his downfall, like what made the route so difficult for him was he had all of his weight on the front and back tire and not much down low, so he would like really dig into the sand and get bounced around quite a bit. I did not envy that. How much he was getting like bounced around.
The scrap for his that kept breaking was worse.
Yeah.
Trying to see if there are any more close-ups. We have Mike. These are all Micah's photos from the trips, by the way. That's why. Oh wait, so the Krampus, you had suspension on the front.
Yeah. Had a suspension fork on the front of the Krampus. I mean, I have a rigid fork for it as well, but I just figured with this route, it didn't make sense to swap it out for it.
No, you probably made a wise choice there. Yeah, and Micah was riding his Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rigid, but same tires.
No, he was running like 2.5s, 29 by 2.5 A lines. Also Terravale. I think that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I don't
your
know.
choice.
I'm looking up at his see if he pops into the chat with what tires he ran. I'm pretty sure they were 2.5 A lines.
Yeah, I think he was over here the other day. We were doing a portrait, but he sounded happy with his setup for what you guys did.
Yeah,
So.
The monster hike-a-bike. He was the one that was able to ride the most of it. We'll say that.
Yeah, and I think he has some.
It was like, so I'll just throw out there, like, and Josh will definitely echo me. I know that
There's
we all
Jeff on
feel
his
the
bike,
same.
but yeah, go ahead.
I know that we all feel the same, but we were at Outdoor Adventures, which is the bike shop in Las Cruces. They let us like use their patio and charge our stuff and everything like that to get set up and go. And they stored our bike bags, like our travel cases, while we were out, among other things. But the guy that was running the shop, his name's Pablo. He was like, "Yeah, what Matt Mason thinks is fun, most people do not." So, we were expecting a hard hike-a-bike, and I think we still underestimated how like gnarly that hike-a-bike was. It sucked.
How far into this ride were you doing the hike-a-bike?
Basically, like, so we started Tuesday evening, started the route. So we flew in Tuesday morning, got there, shuttled over from El Paso to Las Cruces, set up bikes at Outdoor Adventures, went over and grabbed a bite to eat, and then got out on the route Tuesday night. Nothing too crazy Tuesday night. Did maybe like 15, 20 miles, I think, Rusty, and then
I think it was like 18, yeah.
Yeah, so we did that Tuesday night, set up camp, decided to like call it a night kind of early since we'd been all of us up super early for the flight, and then got up Wednesday morning and went through the White Gap Pass probably, I don't know, 15, 20 miles into the day, and that's when you start hike-a-bike. So like ordinarily if you don't do, like the route is actually written, the North Loop is written as a counterclockwise loop. If you don't do the way we did, then you would not reach that until after you pass through Hatch. But we ended up passing through it a lot sooner because we did clockwise based on Matt's feedback.
Yeah.
When you say hike-a-bike, so there's a number of ways things could be hike-a-bike, especially from talking to Albert and Micah from doing all these different things. Is it hike-a-bike because it's like so rough, or is it completely unrideable because it's bouldering type stuff
Yeah, so
or sand.
I'll
'Cause
just
I've
I'll
also
just
hiked
say
on
like it doesn't matter if you do it the other way around. It's gonna be brutal as well. You're just gonna be hiking downhill instead of up. But this picture is kind of where it starts, and it goes into like a pretty steep paved climb, and then it levels out, and you even drop down a little bit, and then it starts another paved climb again. And we're looking up. I have a picture of it. I don't know if I'm guessing Micah probably does as well. But we're looking up at just a massive hill and seeing like these power lines going much much higher than we are, and we're like, that's where we're going. It's
Yeah.
gonna suck, And then you turn a corner and you see like that's not where you're going. It starts into this really chunky.
Is that kind of what this looks?
It was way worse than this. Like
Okay.
this is child's play right here.
He probably wasn't.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
That's it. So yeah, this was. There you go. It was stuff like that, but
So it's
also
just
very
super
steep.
rocky on top of sand and steep.
Yeah, it was even hard to hike because the rocks were rolling, so you'd take a step and like lose your footing. So I want to say that took us about 3 hours to get through that hike a bike.
How many miles do you think?
I don't even know. I've blocked it from my memory.
Just like a couple.
Maybe
of
like 3.
I don't 8, 5, 2. I don't know.
The super rocky section couldn't have been more than 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
an hour.
that's-
Yeah, 3 miles would seem. Yeah.
But like to Rusty's point, it's like big, like, baby head sized rocks, and none of it is actually like stuck in the ground. It's basically all just sitting on top of other rocks. And like as you're even hiking it, the rocks are sliding and moving under your feet. They're sliding and moving under your tires as you're trying to push your bike over them. So like it really wouldn't matter what bike you had. It's got to be virtually impossible to ride just because it's so much shifting under there.
Yeah, it's like sand. I mean, like when that happens, there's no. I mean, on like deeper sand or anything like that, or like mud. It does your traction at some point doesn't matter because the mud is slipping on the mud, the gravel's slipping on the gravel, right?
Well, if we're talking about sand, what's his face?
Tony.
No,
He always-
Otis with the fat bike comments. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Otis with a fat bike. Yeah.
we talked about that a lot, like how much some of the sand and even these rocks, like Otis would probably be talking about having a fat bike and how we'd do so much better.
Micah just said it was so rough and rocky that on White Gap, hike a bike, most of the rubber tread ripped off his clipless shoes.
Though that should be with a caveat. He had already ripped it off once, glued it back, and then it ripped off that time.
This is probably real loud, but I want my cookie.
You want your OCP?
Yep. One big old cream pie.
I saw you guys answered Stephanie's
Whoa.
question, but she asked about
This channel turned rated R real fast.
Stephanie asked about critters. I saw Josh and Micah both answered that you guys really didn't see too much out there.
Micah and I had a close encounter with some coyotes, but
How
Yeah.
close?
they were, I don't know, less than 100 feet from us probably.
When you were sleeping or riding?
They woke us up on day 5.
Ah. So, when you were doing like the hike a bike, which is what I said I don't enjoy about really rough terrain. Like, so you end up with views like this and stuff, obviously, right?
Views were incredible, yeah.
In the moment when you're hike a biking, and I think Rusty, your answer is probably going to be different because you're like a glutton for punishment. You're an ultra endurance runner, like. But Josh, were there moments where you're like, "F this," or?
Definitely during that big, like, rocky hike-a-bike part. Like, the road part was not so bad. And we kind of saw that coming. Like, you could see it on the elevation charts and stuff like that. So you were like, all right, we know that this is going to be nasty. That's fine. I've accepted this fate. you get to the rocky section and you knew there was going to be something, but like you didn't know it was going to be that bad and that the rocks underfoot were going to be so nasty. So I think that was the part where like it just became one of those, God, this sucks. I hope this doesn't go on the entire way, the rest of the way to Hatch this afternoon, because like we are not going to get anywhere like this.
Yeah. There'd be times I would like look up and see Micah on his bike. He like hopped on and started riding, and I'm like, oh sweet, the rocks are gone. And then 5 seconds later, I'd look up and he's hiking like in the same spot, so he didn't make it very far.
Ah,
Um,
that is just so demoralizing to me.
yeah, it was. It was. Yeah. And then we got to the top, and we started down, and the first little bit of the descent was pretty gnarly too. Like I had to stop and take breaks because I was like my arms were so tired from like supporting myself and holding the brakes and everything. It was a lot.
That is also one of the brutal things I've watched in some like really good bike packing videos or interesting bike packing videos out west, where it's like you don't even get to enjoy the downhill because you can't.
After like the first little bit, we were really able to enjoy the downhill. That was
You're
real
able to
nice,
ride.
but yeah, that's like right at the top of the climb, I think, of the hike a bike. Um,
That's at the top of the road hike a bike right there.
that was that what?
There you, that's the top of the. This is the top of the chunky bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what. Okay, all right. I was confused.
And there's a lot
All
of
right,
Okay.
behind.
yeah, and what you can see. Racer asked. He said, "I can't help but wonder if the right fat bike setup would work. Would you rather be on fat than plus, or would you have stuck with the?"
Uh, I I talked about it a lot, like with Micah. I would not like a fat bike would be fine, but it's not necessary on that route.
It wouldn't have got you up the second. You would have been hiking
No,
biking
I
no
don't.
matter what. So
I don't think any mortal can actually ride that climb.
it's.
Like I don't know if
Those are
that's
the only. Those are the only two sections I think, Rusty, that we had to get off and hike a bike. Right,
yeah
is like
yeah
just these two on day two.
right
We got off and had to push for the really steep climb on the road pavement, and then for the really bad rocky section. After that, everything else was completely rideable,
yeah
even for like Jeff on his 2.1s. So I don't think you needed more tire.
So you wouldn't want to be, because then you would have been overbiked for way more than you would have been
yeah
underbiked for.
yeah yeah
So, yeah, that's always my attitude. If it means that I have to once in a while hop off, but I rode the majority of it on what I had, I'd rather go that route.
yeah
I always, yeah.
yeah no like not saying you wouldn't have fun on a fat bike. I'm sure you would still have plenty of fun on a fat bike, but it's completely unnecessary.
Oh wait, leave it. Go back to that one you just had. There's Jeff's setup. By
No,
the way.
that's Albert's.
Oh, that's Albert's setup.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Albert's setup. So
They weren't terribly different, other than the way they packed, though.
right,
Yeah.
they were almost the exact same.
Bike
like it was
wise,
the same
yeah.
bike,
Yeah.
similar tire choice. Just yeah, Albert's
Same bars.
pack setup was a bit more svelte.
I like Fat Albert. Every bike comes equipped with a hiker.
Yeah.
And then Claire was saying that she actually grew up in Las Cruces.
Oh, yeah. Las Cruces, like
Las Cruces.
I had been nearby, but not actually spent much time in the town. I'd just driven through in a bunch of big dumb green vehicles, so I didn't really think much of it. But actually, like getting in the area and spending time there, it surprised me how cool it was. So, lucky you.
So on your first full day, did you get to the destination you had intended?
Mm-mm.
No. So
No.
well, break that down. So how far were you trying to get? How far did you get?
So, our first day there, we were about 4 or 5 miles short of I think where we were trying to be. But
Yep.
we were able to make up for that time wise, even with the long hike a bike. But Uh, some of us were more. We were all pretty cooked after that hike a bike. You start dropping down and you see this big farm and you're like, oh, that's the town. That's Hatch. We're gonna resupply there, and then we've got like 12-ish miles of just canal and flat type riding. Um, Josh he didn't eat enough calories that day, so he was more cooked than I would say probably most. Not that,
Kind of like it because I was
I'm
a
not trying to
zombie.
throw you under the bus, Josh, but he
No,
was
it's fair.
like we got these burritos and he was just sitting there like zoned out. Like
So that was because Micah told me this. I didn't realize that was day one. But
that was our first full day.
full day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was like having trouble eating at that point. Um, I don't think any of us really wanted to keep going, except that we had said like, okay, this is where we need to make it. We don't have a place to stay if we don't get this far, etc. And we pretty quickly like realized Josh is not in good shape. None of us were in great shape. I would have struggled to make that like 12 miles, but um, yeah, we were all just kind of dead. And so we started calling around and found this like really awesome church to sleep in. It was like it used to be a church and now it's just a hotel or something. Celeste was super nice. We left her 2 beers and some monies and a note.
Oh, this is the one that Micah told me that you guys called. All the hotels were booked.
Yeah.
You made the decision to call it for the day,
Yeah.
but then she was like, oh, "It's not a church anymore. You could have beer. You could do whatever you want."
Yeah, she like let us sleep on the floor in the church. There was like a really nice courtyard to hang out and like shoot the breeze. I'm sure. Is it 10 o'clock yet? Nope. Shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
I can't curse.
Shout out to
Um,
Celeste. Like she was fantastic.
yeah, she was awesome. She like apparently moved down there from Colorado like 10 years ago and bought this church, and now it's just like not an Airbnb, but like a bed and breakfast or a hotel or something. And she just, yeah. So we slept there.
So
And
how far off were you of where you went? Were you
I-
trying to get to a campground or?
There was just like a camp denoted on the ride with GPS or whatever. So it wasn't a
Oh.
campground. It was all just like kind of remote dispersed camping.
As you're going north, like out of the mountains, like you're in like wilderness area, and then you turn onto a highway, and from there, like through Hatch, and then through another like 10 or 12 miles on the other side of Hatch, heading east, you're not in wilderness area. There's no like good camping spots. You're not supposed to camp anywhere until you hit wilderness area again. So we were trying to get back into wilderness area to camp.
So you had a gap where you had to cross if you were
Yeah.
gonna keep going. You couldn't just be like, "Let's ride till we're totally tanked and then we'll just camp." You
We
had
were-
to get.
We were in the middle of that gap.
Okay.
We had to get to the middle of that gap to resupply. But yeah, like
Well, you guys keep saying Hatch. That before I move on, is that on the Tour Divide? That sounds so familiar to me.
I
Do you
don't
know?
think so,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Doesn't really matter. I feel like I've heard that before, and I don't know why I'm familiar.
Oh, it's
with
the capital. It's the chili capital of the
Green
world.
chili
Hatch
capital of the
chilies.
world.
That's definitely not how I know it.
I think Matt is trying to bring that into the Tour Divide. So the Tour Divide from that section, like in that area, basically hits like pavement for a very long stretch after a while. And I think Matt was talking about trying to ask or somehow get people to start using like part of the Monumental Loop, like connecting the Monumental Loop as part of the Tour Divide there, like through Hatch basically, because it's more off-road stuff.
Yeah, which would make sense if it's not way out of their line, but
Yeah, I have no idea how far off the route it is or anything. Like, yeah, no idea.
Yeah, just when I dot watch a little bit when that's going on, some of the stuff sticks, but
Yeah,
that's what I thought I knew it from.
I think it goes through Silver City,
Yeah,
which
that
is,
sounds right.
to the west. But the divide also like it follows the mountains, and the high point of the mountains might be in that area. I don't know.
So when you guys woke up and decided to hit the road, had cheetahs on the Tour Divide. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. But when you guys woke up and hit the road, were you thinking then you would make up for lost ground, or were you already recalculating on what was going to happen?
I think we were trying to figure out how much we could make up because our plan for the next day was to make it through Las Cruces and get back out into some like wilderness area to camp again. So um, day 3 was a blast. It's probably the most fun I've had on a bike in recent memory. So much fun, but yeah, I mean it was a long day. I think we put in like 70 miles or something like that to get back to Las Cruces. So
Is it
was a
more roads
bigger
like
one.
this then, where you're more on like gravel, or?
Day 3 I think was probably the most diverse day in terms of surface. Like we started off on canal and like farm roads and whatnot, and then we went into a road kind of like this. It might be this road. Josh, is it this road? Micah, I don't know. Jeff,
I'm a little behind on the stream, but
Yeah, you
yeah,
have to
I
wait
think
till it pops
I
up.
think it's this road. Yeah,
yeah. In fact, this might have been like the top of that main climb for the day.
that sounds right.
So we went through like some farm roads. There's a bunch of like pecan and pistachio farms in that area. So we went through all of those, and then started the climb. And I saw one steep punchy bit, so I was just like, "You guys will catch me on this climb, whatever." And I just kind of bolted, and that was the only steep part. And then it was just like a gradual 2% or whatever. So we all just kind of like filtered in over about 5 minutes. And I think Micah might have got there and took that picture. But
See, this is what I want to ride. These are
yeah,
the kind of roads
there's
I
a
want
lot
to
of
ride.
that on this route.
Yeah,
But
Especially this day. Day 3 was a lot of this.
yeah,
yeah, that's what I love. Like I like single track too, but I want like if you're covering ground and
there,
then look at this views. So like
yeah,
sometimes like the goal of single track on bike packing is to get to amazing views, but like a gravel road that has these views, this is probably my cup of tea right here.
yeah. So we had a lot of this. After that, like kind of climb, we got to this like I don't know cattle enclosure or something. Made a left and started this like really super fun descent, really fast descent.
Oh, that
And
cattle
then
enclosure was this.
yeah, it was like right around that
Yeah.
area. You'll see like if you go back to that last picture on with Jeff, there was like this. Um, you can just kind of make out that water tank there.
Oh yeah.
That one is the water tank that is on one of the main pictures on bikepacking.com. So it was cool to come upon that, and we're like, okay, we're on the right track. We're doing it well. So we went through that gate and super fast, fun descent, and then I think the next part was probably Josh's favorite. Josh, the canyon. Was that your favorite part?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The canyon was great. I mean, it was just nice to have spots where you could just like cruise through. I mean, it was a little chunkier than some of the stuff that Tim was pointing out that he really likes, but still definitely not like single track and not real chunky like what we rode like a couple days prior. And it was nice. It was kind of like dipping in and out through the hills for hours.
So a little more like
Yeah.
this, a little more chunky, but
Sorry. Thanks for pointing out that comment.
Yeah.
Like, there's a comment about the elevations. I think we were between like 4,000 and 6,500 most of the time.
because he was saying maybe was feeling elevation sickness from.
Yeah, could have been. I don't know, Josh.
I don't think it was that. I really think I just didn't eat enough calories. Like I got up that morning on Wednesday and I had one pack of instant oatmeal. And then the whole rest of the day, the only thing I was fueling with was like bike snacks, like goos and Cliff Blocks and things like that. Like I didn't have real food until we got to Hatch, basically, because we didn't stop for lunch.
Yeah,
So we didn't eat until like what 4 o'clock, basically. So I had
sounds about right.
virtually no calories all
Yeah.
day. I really think it was that.
Yeah. The next day was a bigger, longer day, and you ate more for breakfast, and you rocked that day. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think day 3 after coming out of Hatch, like I realized my mistakes. I ate a lot more oatmeal, and then we stopped at the gas station and picked up some gas station like breakfast burritos, and I slammed one of those and
yeah,
dropped the other in my hip pouch, and then we rocked.
yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I
I don't.
was
I don't.
jealous of you being able to carry those burritos.
I'm big on extra space, and I know that about myself too. It's like I could only do like I actually don't even mess with like gels and stuff like that much. I'd rather just buy like peanut M&Ms and stuff. I know they don't
Yeah.
hit you as fast, but to try and stay ahead of it, so you always have that
Yeah.
stuff kind of coming up. But
Um, Also on day 3, I saw Albert like with the save of a lifetime. Like we were ripping down this huge descent, and it went from really smooth to like kind of chunky pretty quickly. And we were kind of right beside each other, and he got ahead of me. And then it got like chunky, and something happened with his seat bag or something, and it hit his tire. And I was looking kind of down at the ground. I looked back up, and he's like fishtailing all over the place. It was real crazy. I was like, man, I'm gonna see Albert die today. Definitely thought I was like, he's gonna mess up his shoulder. He's gonna be part of the bumpy shoulder club or something.
that's what riding with Albert in general.
Yeah, I mean, it was the save of a
I think I'm
lifetime.
gonna see Albert die.
But yeah, we that whole day was just like a lot of small climbs, huge descents. Like some of it was kind of sketchy, but it was awesome. Day 3 was amazing.
So where did you end up then? Were you back on course
Yeah, so we
or
got
back on track?
we got down to off the dirt. Stopped at this place called the Blue Moon Cafe or something like that. Everybody else had tacos that they loved, and I had French fries, which, I mean, the fries were good, but it sucked. I wanted burritos, but they didn't have anything for me, so
Are you the only veg vegan on the
yeah,
trip?
yeah, I was
Yeah.
sad. So yeah, then we rode a bunch of canals into like kind of the outskirts of Las Cruces, and started heading up towards some single track, and that is where Josh and Jeff kind of split off, and they just headed down into town and skipped the single track part. And Albert, Micah, and I ripped it. It was full send. It was so much fun, but yeah, it's like pretty chunky. That's right at the end. This picture's right at the end of the single track. So we went up into those mountains back there.
Oh, so you had the option to go up into those mountains.
It's on the route, but there's like a cutoff if you don't want to
Oh.
do single track. So like by the time we got to that, we were at like probably 55 miles or something, and it was at the end of like a pretty big road climb, and then you get onto some dirt and it gets pretty sandy. So it was like it was wearing skinny tire folk out and stuff like that. So Jeff and Josh decided to just split off and head down into town. And that worked out really well because they found us a hotel. Or maybe they just called Pablo. I don't remember. But we ended up sleeping in a hotel that night in Las Cruces. But that single track was like pretty chunky technical climb, and then just a long flowy descent. So it was really fun. And you're staring at these mountains the whole time.
Nice.
So yeah.
Ben said he doesn't think my M&Ms would have made it on this trip.
Probably not.
Yeah, I guess I would have to rethink something that melts like that if we're out here in the desert. So
They have a thin candy shell.
yeah,
They're protected by a thin candy shell.
yeah, melt in your hand, not in your mouth. Or wait, melt in your mouth, not in your hand.
I was just quoting Tommy Boy there, but
Oh,
you know,
gotcha.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I was quoting M&Ms.
yeah. All right, and then so we stayed in a hotel on the night of day 3, and coincidentally enough, our hotel was literally directly on course. We didn't check that. We were just like, we just need a hotel, like whatever.
So you're 3 days deep and you've never pulled out your camping stuff? Or
No,
you did the first night?
we slept the first night
Yeah.
in our camping stuff, and then the second night, like we didn't sleep in tents, but we had our
Oh,
sleep
you
pads
needed them
and
'cause you're
sleeping
sleeping
bags
on
and
the floor of
everything.
the church, yeah. So stuffs was still coming in handy.
Yeah, yeah.
The stuffs.
The stuffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made the decision that night that Micah and I were going to push to do the full southern loop, and Josh, Jeff, and Albert were going to do an abbreviated southern loop, which Matt provided like GPS tracks for. And it basically did like all the gnarly stuff from the southern loop and then just came back on canal or something, Josh.
Yep. Yeah.
So it skipped out like,
It basically cuts out all the nasty sandy stuff that everybody talks about.
yeah, like that part was cool just because it's long expanses of gravel road. But the thing that you definitely want to do in the southern loop is the single track, and they did that part. So, yeah.
So how many days?
Rusty, talk about
Oh, go ahead.
on this part of the southern loop that's on the stream, like showing the photo right now. Like, what is that surface like as compared to the other stuff we did? Because I didn't see the pictures whenever we talked to you guys about it.
Oh yeah.
There.
Oh dude, it was primo. Like somebody was saying that like I think it was you guys because you rode with Matt that day, and
Yeah.
somebody was saying like, oh, they're gonna hit this huge climb and it's super sandy or whatever, and there was almost no sand. It was
You said it was a giant sand dune.
no, it was super chill. There was there was
Like
one section.
now I'm bummed I didn't make it.
Yeah, there was one section that was maybe like 2 or 3 miles long that was pretty sandy. But other than that, and that was on day 5, not even day 4. But other than that, it was like primo dirt, super super chill.
So Josh, you three just hung out in the town and did day rides each day then, while they were out finishing 2 more days of riding.
Mm,
No, so they went out to do the full southern loop for 2 days. When we went out, we did the same. We basically rode the exact same route that they started on the southern loop on the first of those two. We just didn't make it as far. We made it as far south as like Vado or Benton. Um, and we camped right there, like east of the interstate, like still in the wilderness area, basically. Whereas they kept going past the interstate through on like west quite a ways over to Kilburn Hole. So if you're looking at like the map on the bottom of the figure eight, it's like the southern central part of the loop is where they basically made it to that day. We basically made it to the southeast section of the loop and then camped that night. And then the following day, while they were finishing up the entire last bit, basically heading like northeast, we basically just hit a canal road and then made our way north back to town, and worked on getting logistics together for like an Airbnb and stuff.
yeah. Um,
Because we knew the day after they got back was going to be the day Rusty was talking about that had like the 35 to 50 mile an hour winds.
yeah, super strong
Ah.
winds. Um, yeah, but by the end, so first of all, the day 4 you start out with like a short climb, mostly like pavement and double track. Um, then you get into this little neighborhood, and you're in this neighborhood for half mile, and then single track for 30 miles. It was awesome. Uh, so Josh, Jeff, and Albert rode all of that with the guy that created the route, and he showed them some secret
Oh, yeah.
stuff, I guess.
How did you meet? How did?
I didn't meet
By
him.
the way, how did this happen? Because Micah told me
Instagram.
this, but he just lives in Las
Yeah,
Cruces?
he lives in Las Cruces, and we were chatting with him on Instagram like throughout, and getting ready for the trip. Like Josh made good contact with him, so
Yeah, I had been in touch with Pablo from the bike shop before the trip, like months in advance, trying to make sure we'd have a place to store our bags and stuff like that. And then Pablo gave me Matt's info. And so I had been texting back and forth with Matt before we ever left to go. And we called for a little bit and talked about tire choice, how much water to bring, things like that. Like he gave us kind of a full heads up. And that's how we got the tip to do the clockwise northern loop and stuff. But yeah,
yeah,
he lives just off the very beginning of the southern loop, like within the first 5 miles of the southern loop. So he just basically like said, let me know whenever you leave your hotel, because we told him where we were staying. And he was like, let me know when you leave your hotel and I'll meet you on the trail. And like literally we're riding and he just like pops out of the wilderness like off a dirt road and like, hey,
Oh, awesome. Oh, it's so cool.
He must live in that neighborhood that I was talking about or something, and like that was a little bit of a bougie neighborhood. I'm not gonna lie. There was like
Oh
that
no,
purple
he was
house.
well before that
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
because he was talking about all the talking about all the grumpy old people who didn't want people hiking or biking on their hiking trails.
oh yeah.
Ah, of course.
Damn it. 6 more minutes and I can say what I really
Yeah.
think. Yeah, so we got like the climb up on that single track was a little bit exhausting because it was loose, so it's just like
Start over.
wasn't super brutal, but you're just like 3%, 2%, whatever for a long time, a few miles on like really loose. I wouldn't call it sand, but it was like sapping my energy. I was like, man, if this goes on for much longer, I'm gonna have to take a break. I'm gonna have to like stop and eat or whatever. And then just at the perfect time, it gets into this super nice flowy downhill. So it was a good time. Like Micah and I were sending it. You guys, I don't know. We were getting after it, trying to make sure we had time to get through the day. So, well, Josh.
For the most part, like that's about where Matt broke off from us because he rode with us up until the high point there,
Okay.
and then he turned because he was going to make a different loop so that he could make it back home, and then we turned off onto that single track, and it's basically like you said, it's all kind of downhill, like low grade downhill, but flows basically downward for several miles.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were hitting it pretty good. I mean, aside from Jeff having some trouble whenever there were like ruts at the bottom of a dip, like you'd hit like a spot where you'd go down and then
Yeah.
there'd be like a really deep dip and then you'd go back up. So anytime his wheel would drop into that, that would kind of dampen his speed a little bit, quite a bit. So, but yeah, we were moving through that single track. It was great. And then that was the hot part of the day. So then when you guys were making your next push, like past the city through to like across, headed west, we were hiding in a cave.
Yeah, that cave looked pretty cool.
Did everyone feel
They have
like...
a
Oh, go ahead.
archaeological spot there. They have like a really cool archaeological spot there that Matt pointed out to us on the map and was like, yeah, you guys should go totally check this out. Like there's a bunch of caves here. And it was a nice spot to go and like chill since we knew we didn't have that many more miles left for that day for our group. So went up, found the cave, got a shady spot. We all like ended up passing out and taking a nap there in the cave for a little while, letting the wind blow through, and just kind of like hiking around, exploring that section. It was pretty dope.
Did everyone feel like they made the right choices? Do you feel like you made the Micah
Absolutely.
pushing on, and
Yeah.
you guys feel like you made the right choice by shortening it a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think like Jeff would have absolutely hated the single track at the end of day 3 because the first little bit of it was really chunky, and the single track on day 4, like Josh said, like it would be real flowy and then it would drop into an arroyo, and it would be very rocky for like 10 feet, and so for Jeff, he's just gonna lose all his speed, and yeah, so Micah and I were definitely like hating life a little bit towards the end of day 3, or excuse me, day 4, because we were just like pushing, trying to make miles. I kept looking at my watch like, hey, if we go 4 more miles, we'll have less than 50 miles to go tomorrow, and that'll be an easy day. So we were just like dragging ass at the end. Oh, I cursed. Dang.
You're good. You're good. You made it.
I made it 58 minutes. That's a record.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jeff
we were
said-
hating
What
it.
is the deal? Why are you holding out cursing? What was the deal with that?
Oh,
Was
the
that a
rule
promise
is
you
no
made at
cursing
10?
before 10.
This is a rule that came about during the pandemic. There was one guy who messaged me, and I can't even remember his name. He was like, can I watch these? I watch them at work. Like, is it family friendly? And I said, until about 10, then all bets are off after 10. And we have stuck to this rule that no one could cuss till 10 o'clock. Because I told this one guy 4 years ago that that's how we do it. And that during the pandemic, there was a lot of drinking because there was nothing else to do and chatting on here. So it could go pretty off the rails after 10 o'clock at night. So
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't know who made the comment, something about a flanimal. Thank you, Josh, for correcting. I'm not in the chat right now. I'm too engrossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not take my flanimal on this. That would have been absurd. I mean, I guess I could throw like 650 by 2.4 on there, but it would still be like. All right, and then, all right, Pudgy. Little early there, bud.
Would So, Josh, would you have done the whole route if you added, say, an extra day to it, or would you still be glad to cut it short? You know,
No, I think if we had had an extra day, I think I would have wanted to do it. I think I would have been in for it.
that's how I
If
felt.
Sunday would have been so nasty, like if we knew that Sunday weather was going to be just like it was some of the prior days, I would have gone for it.
That's how we felt on our version of the North Country Diverse. Where like if we had planned shorter days and one more day, we totally would have done it.
Yeah.
But and the idea
Shit.
Jeff's on.
Fuck.
Jeff, do you feel the same way? Would you have done it if we had good weather on Sunday? Would you have gone?
yeah, would you
Let's
have
see
done
what
the whole
Jeff
thing?
said.
Oh, Rigda's in here now
Rigda's
too.
in here. I don't know who else from Joy Machines is in here, but Rigda's in here. I was hoping Scott was in here earlier when Josh was talking about his frame bags and whatnot.
Same.
Scott's been waiting for, in perpetuity for frame bags. Oh, Cassie's in here too.
Frame,
Oh,
frame.
shoot.
What was it? Scott claimed during the trip that Ron's bags opened a bike bag company and shut down a bike bag company in the time that I that I got my orders filled.
Ah, man, that's good. I need to make a command for for his bag so we can pull up a link whenever we mention him as a local guy.
Yeah.
So I'll do that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Literally all of Northeast Ohio has been waiting for a bag from Fuzzy Stitchworks.
Yeah. Oh, Jeff did jump in. He said, "I agree, Josh. If we had an extra day and didn't have to worry about the wind, I would have been down to continue on." So.
Yeah.
Oh, and we also got Bill in here saying that everybody has been waiting.
Yeah.
So shout out to Fuzzy Stitchworks, the best to ever do it.
I know a few people who do custom frame bags, and it seems like a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. When I moved back, I think I had just gotten a new bike, and I was looking to have a frame bag made, and I met Cleves, the guy that makes the bags for Fuzzy, and I was like, oh man, I saw your shit on the internet, like I would like to get a bag, and he's like, honestly, just go somewhere else. I'm not gonna be able to, like, you'll be waiting forever. If you don't mind waiting, then sure, I'll make you a bag, but probably go somewhere else. And I was like, gotcha.
Yeah, my buddy Yellowbird out in Connecticut.
Yeah.
He did custom frame bags for a while, and now he's mostly doing the stem cap things. And he's like,
Yeah.
this is way more efficient use of time than one-off custom frame bags. That's a tough gig.
Yeah, I don't know how a lot of the companies do it. Like, I don't know, Rogue Panda and some Bedrock. Some of the others have scaled up and they're able to knock out a lot of them, but I don't understand it. More power to them.
Oh yeah. Oh, even like Ron said,
Pudgy Bedell Pusher super chatted $1.99. $1.99 from Pudgy Bedell Pusher. Fuck Rusty. Guard, astronaut, merman, man, top hat, kangaroo, bone, dumpling, fried shrimp.
Okay, first of all, those are not dumplings, those are pierogi. Yesterday was Dingus Day.
Immediately off the rails.
yeah, 10 o'clock, immediately off the rail.
Immediately.
Not talking about the ride at all.
Anyway, back to the ride. Yeah, so we went on day 4, we made it to this big old crater called Killy Beehole.
Did we have pictures of that?
Yeah, there's the picture.
Did Mike have?
There's
Mike
one
has got a
photo in there.
couple.
See if we could find it anyway.
Yeah, I can't. These thumbnails are too small.
Does it? I don't think it affects our thing if we open up these thumbnails, does it? Hang on a second, Dave. You opened Photoshop.
Whoopsie.
It makes it.
Oh, there we
small,
go.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
All right. You wanna? Here, I can drive if you want. I can.
Yeah. Why not? No, you don't need to. Dave's been trying to drive from back there and dropping shit around and.
Hey, it's been going pretty good. Come on.
Do you want to split that 10%er? I'll get a couple glasses.
Sure. I mean, I have more, but. Nope, that's not it. That's a pretty cool picture, but that's not it.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a video.
It's further back in the group of photos before that section. Keep going backwards.
Can you drive? Because this is looking pretty rough.
Oh, we're there. I found him. I found him. So, all right, there's this big old crater. It's called Kilbourne Hole or Kilbourne Crater or something like that, but it's just we were calling it Killy Bee Hole. I think Matt created that term. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
So we got there. We were kind of hoping there would be like a ramada, so we could sleep without a tent, but no luck. So we pushed like 5 or 6 miles past this, maybe. Set up camp. We were awakened by a pack of coyotes that was very, very close.
Go on.
Sorry, I was thirsty. Yeah, so Ames, it was like between 65 and 80-ish. Caveat, asterisk, star. Yeah, so we got past there. We kept thinking we were approaching this water tank that I don't know if we ever found it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Micah, did we ever find that water tank? Set up camp. I don't know how to change the picture anymore, but
I'll get it.
oh, thanks, buddy. That picture of the sunset with Micah's tent in the foreground, that was that night.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was night 4. Oh yeah, that's way easier. We stopped at that Mercantile. That was a pretty cool place.
Wait, is this just like a little
Just
general
like this
store?
little general store. She had like mac and cheese and random treats. I got an avocado. Micah took a dump, and it was in the this lady's home was attached to this place, so he thought he was going to be using like the store's bathroom, and it turns out it was just like her
Their
house.
private bathroom.
Yeah. Which that was kind of funny. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that place. We paid for like 4 bottles of water for $1 a piece, and then found one of those water refill stations that was 30 cents a gallon. So that was like, okay.
You know those aren't coyotes; those are just cows.
Those are cows, yeah.
So you're afraid of cows, basically.
I'm not afraid of cows. They do horrible things to our public land out west, so that kind of sucks. This is some of the single track on day 3. This was like the start of the single track on day 3. Phenomenal. That's called the Oregon Mountains, so they're mine. Those are mine. They're named after me. I own them.
Is that third syllable in it? Because it doesn't look like it's spelled like that.
What syllable?
Oregon Mountains?
Organ.
Oregon.
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 Yeah.
Got it.
Like the mountains.
Oregon.
Yeah. Those are mine. They're named after me. I own them. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say about that. Like, I don't know. Do you have any questions? Does anybody have questions? Oh, no.
Yeah, let's hear some questions. Ames says.
Ames. Perfect comment. Micah took a dump.
Oh, did you pull one up?
One large
Oh.
dookie.
Yeah, let's Oh, so you did say that you built in
Ooh. That's fire.
yeah. You built in extra time. So what did you guys when you got back and rejoined them, did you spend a couple days like
Yeah.
riding, or what did you ride, or did you just
So because it was so windy, we were planning on riding, like heading out and just kind of like fucking around on single track, making things up. But yeah, because it was so windy, we just hunkered down in an Airbnb and we like walked to a couple. We did the Tim Fitzwater tour, so we went to a couple breweries. We went to this Chalice restaurant that was recommended by somebody. I don't know who, but they had some
Chalice?
Chalice, CHA. Is it 2 L's or just one? I think it was just one.
Oh, I know that. Yeah. I've
yeah.
seen that before. I don't know what
Yeah, I don't know either.
that means.
But yeah, we went there and everybody had burritos. They probably like their burritos more than I like mine because I just had rice and bean.
They couldn't have cut up out there. There's no veggies to cut up and put on there.
I don't know. I just had
Rusty just ate nothing but green chilies and beans the
yeah,
entire
it's
trip.
pretty much my life. I was farting up a storm.
When you would ask these questions, would these people?
That's how we got uphill so fast.
I like Rigda's question. Will you highlight that one?
Yeah. I did see.
And then Micah was telling me to tell a story. I don't know what the fuck.
Well, what's the
Was it
answer?
anybody's
What's the
was it anybody's first time pooping outside?
I doubt it.
So we talked about this at the route, remember? Because I brought that fancy trowel that had like the little toilet paper tablets or whatever and
Yeah.
shit, and you were trying to convince me to go use it. And I was like, I haven't pooped outside. And you were like, you've never pooped outside like this? And I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I just never ended up having to. We ended up making it through towns so often that I didn't
Wow.
have to go.
Yeah, I've never had a trowel either because everywhere we've camped and stuff, I've always like there's either been a restroom
Yeah.
or I've like timed it up right or
Yeah.
pretty good holding it. So
I'm usually like a 4 poop a day guy.
damn.
And I was like on 1 poop a day, so it was like bombs away. I think on the last day I dug out a pretty big hole and target direct hit and it still was outside the hole, so I had to do some work to make sure it was 6 inches down after that. I had to get extra dirt from elsewhere.
It's funny because I'm mostly aware of this stuff from the bikepacking.com videos. Because like we just don't camp like we around here like
Yeah.
you're usually at a state
Right.
campground or something or
There's
I've-
not as much wild camping out east.
even when I've been in more rustic places like in Ohio if you take a shit by a tree in the woods and you're in the middle of nowhere it's not a problem.
Right.
It's not
You
you're
should
not,
still bury it, but
yeah yes but it's not the you know what I mean.
Right.
It's not the same.
You hug the tree
It
and
rains.
that helps you to like squat.
It
Yeah.
rains here a lot. It's in the spring in Ohio it doesn't matter if you take a shit in the woods.
I mean, then you just get poopy runoff into the water, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Just saying, I worked on a farm for 10 years, and
Yeah.
there's times where you had a big lunch and there you weren't you weren't digging no hole.
Josh's trowel even had like a little marker because we decided we're gonna share trowels to just cut out things that we had to like fucking carry, and his trowel had a little marker for 6 inches, and I was like, please, I think I know what 6 inches is. It's 3 of my wieners. Cassie's like, God damn it.
Where was that? What was Micah's? So, Rusty, tell the story about how I fell asleep and couldn't compliment your amazing farts.
Yeah, I don't remember what night it was, but we were like sitting around setting up camp and all that, eating and stuff, and I was farty the whole time because I was eating nothing but beans pretty much. And every
Beans and
time,
green chilies.
yeah, every time I'd fart, Micah would tell me what it sounded like, or like make up a story about it or something like that. And he's like, I'm gonna go to sleep now. So if you fart again and you don't hear a compliment, that's why. I'm not trying to insult you.
Oh, you thought like maybe they were going on. He was worried they would be going unacknowledged at that point.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm not trying to insult you. And sure enough, he was asleep, and I could hear him snoring within like 90 seconds. So.
So
There
Jeff
was one night on the trip, you guys were basically conversing via
Yeah.
Flatchet.
Yeah, I think that
I
was
don't
the
remember
first
what
night.
night that was.
I think it was the first night. That was, yeah. Ames, you're going to have to deal with it whenever I'm around, because I talk about farts and poop a lot. You're welcome.
Yeah, if Erin's still watching, she'll be amazed I'm dealing with this because I'm like the opposite too. I like never.
Yeah. Well, Cassie's in here, and she's been doing the facepalm emoji a bunch, so she's probably just rolling her eyes really hard.
Pudgy said he poops outside his apartment just to stay in practice.
I wonder what I said that triggered. What exact comment triggered Ames's inside thoughts comment?
I think it was your 6 inches.
Oh,
part.
my
yeah.
okay, that's fair. Yeah. What else? What else happened that was significant on the trip? I wish we could see some video.
We could try. I'm just.
We like the first couple of nights we were out there, I remember noting that like just how like weirdly quiet it was. Like out in the
Yeah.
desert, and whenever
Yeah.
the wind just drops out and everything. Like that first night we were out there and it went dead silent, and I was like, this is like eerie.
Yeah, that first night it was like really windy for a little while, and then the wind cut out, and it was just so quiet.
Yeah, I could get it for us to see it, but we
okay.
try this. I don't understand why I can't get it to show up on the stream. Change association sounds like a commitment I don't want to make. Oh,
What kind of
Large
weird
has a good question for you though, Warren.
What kind of weird shit was Albert eating? He was mostly mezcal, pretty much exclusively.
Who's the mezcal diet?
Yeah, like we all had flasks. Yeah. All right. Cool. We all had flasks, and I think Albert went through his like 3 times and had to refill it like in towns. So that was
See if I
pretty.
can pull up the photo of him like getting the
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
from under Micah.
Yeah.
Getting the stuff from under my.
He was drinking mezcal from
what it
under.
sounds
Like,
like.
Micah
Oh
was-
yeah, I saw when you guys posted the story on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't. I didn't think it was in the.
It was in there,
Was it? It was at the
Yeah.
beginning then, right?
probably.
Yeah.
Because. Whoops, that doesn't help.
Whoopsie.
See, these aren't in order anymore. Maybe if we arrange by date, it'll work. Micah didn't erase the metadata.
Okay, apparently it's not in there.
Yeah, I only saw it
No.
on Instagram, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Well, these
that
are.
would have been helpful earlier. So, all right, I'm going to drive a little bit here.
Well, let me. Just hang on a second.
Okay.
Now you can't, because now the photos are up. So
All right. So,
I'm gonna take a leak while you drive and chat.
yeah, I got you. This was like the first night. We had a really awesome sunset, sunrise the next day. Super soft ground to set up camp on. That was real nice. Recommend. And that first section out of Las Cruces was pretty awesome. Super fun for me, at least. If anybody else disagrees, put it in the chat, or Josh, you tell me. Racer X, the whoopsie is from Mortal Kombat. First night of camp. There was a lot of like this type of, I don't know, B-road, I guess. these wide open spaces. And then here's a spot that I found particularly interesting. There was one of the water points that was just off course had this
Oh, that's
like,
wild.
I don't know, shack thing that was just like broken
Like
down.
a rune, yeah.
Yeah, and this windmill was busted, and we were filling water. I thought, yeah. So Albert got up there, and he had to we had to pass our bottles and everything up to him so he could fill.
So someone comes and resupplies this?
I have no idea.
So you drank this with any? Did
We
you trade it?
We filtered.
Oh, you
Yeah,
filtered it.
yeah,
Okay,
we filtered.
thank God. I was gonna say.
There's a hose that runs into it, and it just like pushes water into the top of that big barrel. It was actively running the whole time we were there.
Yeah. So we were doing that. Then we get some pavement, and this is like we're approaching the stupid, really gnarly climb, but having a good time so far. So far, so good.
It's before you knew the troubles that were to be.
Yeah, we knew there was a climb coming, but we didn't know how gnarly it was going to be. It's really nice gravel roads, I think. Big open expanses, and then we hit some pavement. I missed this tub entirely. I did not see this, but apparently everybody else did. I don't know. We already talked about that. Like you can see, there's this observatory. Right here.
Oh yeah, I would not have picked that out.
Yeah. So we were kind of like staring at that most of the northern loop actually, just like from different angles. I don't know how to make. Okay, there we go.
I'm surprised you realized that bridge can do that. You don't use this program ever, right?
I have never used it before.
This is like how you navigate stuff for Adobe Photoshop and Premiere
Yeah.
Pro. That means like so if it pours, this would become like a
this spot right here
it's a low
would that low spot would just flood across and probably be like actually flowing. Yeah, I don't know. Micah has an eye for these types of things.
Here's a question. I saw the picture at the beginning, not to
Yeah,
Go
go
back.
for it. Go.
but I've never. Is it here? So I've never flown with my bike yet. Like, one, it's impossible to navigate airline websites to figure out what is allowed.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like I've just heard all their stories about like the weight and like too much in the back. Like, how did it go this time? Was it a pain in the ass or?
Super easy. Fortunately, so Josh can talk a little bit about it, but apparently Southwest changed their policies or something not that long before our trip. But Micah happened to be going to Portland, so he actually tested it out, and we got confirmation of what their policy was and everything. So usually I would fly on a different airline and probably get my bike for free. But because everybody else was cheaper on Southwest, I flew Southwest and I had to pay $75. But our bikes got there in one piece and it worked out well. So.
I definitely wouldn't complain about $75.
Yeah, and you get it's $75 and 100 pounds or something. So we were all just cramming shit in our bike bag.
Have you done it before? Was this your first time flying with the bike, Josh?
Yeah, that was my first time too. And like Rusty said, Southwest's old policy was if it was under certain measurements and stuff, it was still free. But then they changed it a couple months before our trip. It ended up being the $75, which is still cheaper than shipping a bike and packing it and all that other BS still. So it's $75. You can still fit it for free if it's under certain measurements, but almost no bike is gonna fit under the measurements that they specify. I think it was 80 combined inches or something like that. So that's length plus width plus depth has to be less than 80, which is basically non-existent for a bike. So you get the 100 pounds and throw it in the bag.
So that I think that's almost a benefit though, because if flying with your bikes for free, but if they still weigh it, so the 100 pounds you're able to stuff your bags and anything you could into the bike bag then, right?
But I mean, Also on Southwest, you get two check bags for free, up to 50 pounds a piece. None of us were close to 100 pounds in our bike bags. I don't think any of us were close to the 50 pounds for, um, for our check bags, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
I think the closest any of us got in the bike bags was like 68.
Okay. Yeah, we talked this. There's a famous story about Micah and Albert where it was slightly over, and the people were trying to help them out, and she looked away, then looked back down. She's like, "Oh, it's good to go." And Micah looked down. Albert had his foot.
Yeah, I
underneath the
remember
scale.
that story. Yeah. Yeah. When I coached wrestling back in the day, we would do that well, I didn't do it, but other coaches would do that for their athletes to help them make weight.
I actually took a bus trip with a young professionals group, and when we were out there, like when the day would end, I was riding the city bikes all over the place, which is better than nothing, but sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're trying to see stuff that's not what they're designed for.
Right.
And I was like, when we were loading up to leave for the trip, I looked under the compartments and I'm like, a full size bike would easily fit in here. And the driver was like, "Oh yeah, for sure." And I'm like, "If I brought a bike, would you put it in there?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "All right, don't forget this."
Yeah.
But
yeah, so that was another thing that we kind of had talked about. There's a $13 shuttle from El Paso to Las Cruces, but we were worried, like, are they gonna have room for 5 dudes with bikes and suitcases? And if they do, how do we get from the airport in El Paso to, I think it was like downtown El Paso is where I was leaving or something. So how do we make that trip? So Josh worked that out as well, and we just paid like $100 a piece. It was actually less than $100 a piece for a what's the word?
Just a shuttle service.
Yeah, we just like hired a shuttle to take us exclusively. So we had 5 bikes in the back of a huge ass van, and yeah, we were able to like do all that.
Tom Flunker said, "Did you all have to get or buy bike bags, or can you rent those?" First off, the bike shop here in Akron will rent them to you.
Yeah.
But answer the question for you guys.
I think we all already had bike bags. Like, I got mine from Patty, if he's still in here.
Patty Redbeard.
Yeah, Patty Redbeard. When I lived in Arizona, I got mine from him. But I think most people that travel with their bikes, if they don't have a bike bag, they'll just like go to a shop and ask for a box. Most shops have spare boxes sitting around, and they'll just give them to you for free. Sometimes they might charge you like $5 or $10 or something, but it's pretty easy to just like toss a bike in there.
Yeah, if you're in the Akron area, Dirty River has 2, and you can rent them from them. Oh, that's what Jeff did.
Oh,
Jeff rented his.
I think that's what Albert and Micah did too.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So they must have 3 then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You own one, Josh?
Yeah, I bought one last year, expecting to do this trip. I bought one used from somebody. I didn't get a new one. I just found one on like Facebook Marketplace.
Which is probably the way to go with something like that. I bet there's a lot of people who bought them that never.
Yeah. I would never have paid full price for mine, but Patty was like, I'll give you this one for, I think I paid him like $200 or something. I was like, fucking sold.
Yeah. Our buddy Aaron who
Yeah,
does a
that's
bunch.
what I wanted to.
Yeah, our buddy Aaron who does a bunch of trips bought his own because he does it so much that it's worth it. You know.
I mean, that's how I got my bike to Germany, so I'm very grateful that I had a bike bag.
So Micah said Albert owns one. Him and Jeff rented from Dirty River. So $50. So yeah, not that bad if you do it once in a while. I'm guessing Micah's getting to the point where owning might become a.
Yeah.
Just depends on how often you do it, and if you have somewhere to store it. Nice thing about
I think he said.
Go ahead.
I think he said that Otis might be replacing some of their soft side bags with hard side cases, and if so, he might snag one of those from Otis if he sells them.
It's a cool service to offer because, like for me, I've never done it. If I did it once and then I got the hang of it, then maybe I'd want to buy it, but I haven't yet. So I was like, I don't want to buy a bike bag because
Yeah.
I've never flown with my bike. So
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of nice to have, even if you like just go on a long road trip. If you don't want to have your bike outside of your car in inclement weather or something like that, you can break it down, put it in a case. It's a little bit more compact that way. It does suck, like taking your bike apart and building it back up, but
Yeah,
I mean,
most of
there are other scenarios where I think it's helpful to have one.
yeah, we keep doing our bike trips that are like kind of on the edge of driving. It seems like that meme about Midwest, like,
Yeah,
oh, why would I fly when I
that's
could
out west too. Like,
drive there in 10 hours?
yeah,
But, like, because we go out to Connecticut and do Nutmeg, and we went up to Hodag last year, which is you forget how much of a hike it is to get up to like that part up through the Upper Peninsula.
10 hours.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a hike. Yeah, it's farther than the East Coast, So,
For sure.
but it is so nice to bring what you want and not think about it. Because like when you're packing up for a trip where you're not flying, you start to do that to yourself where you're like, well, do I need this? And you're like, do I need this? Who the fuck cares? Throw it in the car.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'm driving. Bring it whether I need it or not. It's so different when you calculate flying.
Yeah, my biggest point of stress, like leading up to this trip, was where are we gonna store our bike bags and all the other shit that we're taking with us. And fortunately, like Josh worked that out, or maybe Josh and Micah. I don't really know, but I didn't have to.
That's been a big hang up for me too, because I guess European airports have storage, and like nowhere in the U.S. does anymore.
And train stations in Europe have storage. Imagine that.
Yeah. Because when I think maybe that was what it was. I was flying out to Boston for a work trip, and I was like, I would love to have my bike. And then when I looked at like, what am I going to do with
Yeah.
the stuff? You know what I mean? Like, no, it was Florida. I was going to go down to Swelter Cycles. They were doing this awesome event, and I'm like, okay, I got the cheap airline ticket. I got the one that could afford the bike. Then I'm like, what do I do with the stuff? And they're like, so I called the Tampa Bay airport. There's like, yeah, there's nowhere here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so even if I run an Uber, then what do I do? Like, and it was like,
Yeah.
to spend 3 days camping, what do you do with your stuff?
Right.
So to finish this, Josh, what did you do? What did you guys do with the bags?
We contacted Outdoor Adventures, which like Matt kind of recommends them on his route write up and stuff like that, like as the bike shop to go to in Las Cruces, which I don't even know if there are any other bike shops, but they're very well appointed for camping, bikes, etc. And so we just shot them an email real fast, a few months in advance, and said, hey, look, we're looking at coming for these dates. Is there any way we could store our bikes with you guys? And Pablo immediately responded and was like, yeah, absolutely. Just let us know, like, keep in touch. Let us know a little bit closer to the time, like, hey, we're getting in on this time. Everything's still confirmed. Let us know how many people it's going to be. They didn't charge us a dime for it. So, like, we obviously supported their store and bought some stuff while we were there, etc. But, man, I cannot thank those guys enough. Because even, like, after the shop closed one night, we needed to get back in.
Yeah.
And try and like resupply one night, and he drove back up to the shop just to let us in and go swap some stuff out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was awesome.
Because that is like a huge hurdle. Because I took the time off, had this whole trip planned, and then I canceled. Literally, like bike bag being one of the deciding factors. Like I can't move around the way I want to because I can't figure out where to put this. Like I'm like, okay, Airbnb here, camping 2 nights. What do I do with the shit before I get back on the airplane? And then you figure like, okay, so get a bike box. No problem. I have a bike box sitting right there. Well, I'm going to throw this away or recycle it. Then I need to get one again.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to fly out on a Sunday. No bike shops are open on Sunday to get one for the... I don't know. I'm like, I get so frustrated by that. I'm like, I don't know. I get hung up by flying with the bike. So
Yeah, so Fat Albert said that you can like apparently stash your shit at a large like chain hotel or whatever. But the thing that we were talking about is like if Outdoor Adventures didn't let us stash our stuff there, then we were just gonna like rent a U-Haul storage pod or something like that. Like that's what we were talking about doing. Which I don't think those are that expensive, but I don't really know.
So you can do those short term. Yeah.
Think so.
Little known fact, bike bags roll well on highway.
Yeah. Micah, was it the Fool's Loop? You guys were like dragging
I
all your
remember the
stuff behind
photo.
you.
Yeah. From the
to your
airport
Airbnb.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I did promise the rest of the group I wasn't gonna tell them what my favorite point, photo, whatever scenery on the trip was. So can we pull up the photos again? Because I have one to show. It's
You just opened Premiere Pro. All right. There you got it. There you go.
All right. Let's find this baby.
My computer's working hard now, opening a. Why are we gone?
Why are we gone?
It's a good question.
1 second. Let me close out.
Okay.
Dave's working from across the room on certain things, so.
We're back.
You're back.
Okay, we're back, so now we can go back to the photos that you were looking through.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, did you guys see Edmund's here on my lap now? This beautiful black kitten that was found in my alley.
I'm allergic to cats, so I'm trying to avoid it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew about what a good-looking cat I own now.
He's stroking his pussy, I guess.
Look.
I don't know.
You're looking at him in IRL. This is a beautiful fucking cat.
It's a cat.
You don't like cats?
I don't. I'm allergic to them, so.
Well, why did you tell me that?
I
That's
told
what
you.
we're doing.
I told you.
What did you tell me?
I told you.
He's like a seal, though, so you don't have to worry. He's not a shedder.
Yeah, well, it's fine.
You're not stuffed up or anything. I haven't heard.
As long as he's not like right in my face, I should be good.
Just don't touch your eyes. I
Yeah.
made that mistake.
Can you see that, Tim? You guys got this on video?
Oh,
Do you
it's
see
big. It's
the
great.
photo of Micah pouring mezcal on Albert by accident?
Is this by accident? That doesn't look like an accident.
He was like trying to fill his
underneath.
yeah, he was like trying to fill his flask, and it was spilling. So Albert just like jumped under there and started drinking it. It was pretty great. It was a good time.
I did see that on Instagram, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
And then Mike also tagged me in your first night because he was like, "Oh yeah,
we're on the Tim Fitzwater.
instead of doing a lot of riding,
yeah,
drinking a lot of beer."
stopped at a brewery in the first like 3 miles. Check. Yeah, so that photo that was up, that was my personally my favorite spot
right
on
here.
the route.
Just-
like there were a lot of fun things, like more fun sections of the route, but I felt like this was like the most picturesque for me. I don't know. Josh, this was after kind of like
I agree with that.
this was after kind of like a pretty challenging section of climbing and then a really technical descent, like super technical descent. And then we got to this and kind of like took a break and regrouped.
And that's a lake down there.
It was like just out west they call them tanks, just like a gathering spot for water. Yeah, but it was like.
Out west, they call me a tank as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Different reason.
Frank the tank. Frank the tank. We're going streaking.
Rusty,
your green hat.
that descent was only technical if you didn't have a suspension fork.
Well, you know what? I did just fine without a suspension fork. So.
I gotta say though, every time that they were like picking their way down a particular line of a descent, I was just fucking blasting through it.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, how much you might have said this, but I was probably focusing on technical shit. How much travel is your suspension fork on that bike?
I think that's like a 120 or a 130. It's pretty short.
So short, but with the wide tires, that still probably has a huge, yeah.
Yeah. Between the bump, absorption from the tire plus a little bit of travel from the fork, it was a very cush ride.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read the comments too.
Ah,
But yeah. I don't know. I'm like I don't want to like start yapping about single speed and
Yeah, you do.
and
That's
fucking.
like your entire fucking
No,
life.
Kind of
no,
is.
no, we
It
didn't,
kind of is.
we didn't hear that crap for a week. I don't want to listen to it anymore, Tim.
Yeah, like I don't like shit on my bike that can break, or that I have to do maintenance on. So that's why I don't have suspension on any of my bikes, and that's why almost all of my bikes are single speed.
How many derailleurs or suspension forks broke on this trip, Rusty?
Zero. But how many could have?
How many could
All
have?
of them could have.
That's what we call.
Your tire could have gone out.
No, I was running tubeless.
Right, and then it could have gotten a hole in it too big for you to plug.
Yeah, you could have
Yeah,
broke
no,
a
it's
chain.
fine.
Could have broke a chain.
Could have broke a chain.
Trying to crank that.
I
trying to
am
crank those
not
watts
that
uphill.
powerful, my dude.
Trying to crank those watts uphill.
I did have a brand new chain on, and it was a little saggy by the end, so I like to think I was powerful enough to stretch that chain.
Stretch but not bend but not break.
Yeah. Yeah, like I had a couple low speed crashes, like very low speed, to the point that I was just like, I lost traction and stopped and just like fell over. And that could have like bent my derailleur hanger and fucked up my whole day, whole trip.
Those of us with derailleurs know you fall to the non-drive
Well,
side.
sometimes, I think
Yeah.
I think most of the time when you
It's a
fall,
slip.
you're not trying to fall. So I don't know.
I'm not trying to fall, but I'm not trying to fall on my derailleur side
Well,
anymore.
I don't have to I don't have to fucking worry about it because I don't have a derailleur. So I don't know.
I will. Hey, so speaking of crashes and stuff, I have to say, like, probably one of the most excellent crashes that I saw during the trip was the day when we were riding with Matt, and we were going through that single track section, and we get to a point, and
Oh,
Matt
yeah.
says, "Hey, look, on these few next to like big ass hills, if any of you can make it up both hills back to back, I will buy you dinner at Chala's whenever we get back." And so we go down like the first, or go down into the like this little like valley, and then try and go up the first hill, and it's like a no-go. It's like too slippery, too steep, like you just can't make it up. We get to the second hill, and Albert's the first one to go at it, gets like halfway up, and he's like in the wrong gear or something slips under his back tire, and he like fishtails a little bit, and then he like you just see him slow motion, like clipped into his pedal still, like lean left and just like fall down the trail, like off the left side on the edge into a bush. And fortunately, he fell into like the only not spiky bush in the entire New Mexican desert somehow, because he got out of the bush and was like, "I'm good, like no spikes, I'm fine." Got back on his bike and jumped back on it and like rode up the rest of the hill from there, like just sent it.
That sounds 100% like Albert. Like, exactly.
Also, though, on the last day when we were getting into the Airbnb, Albert had to pull like some pretty sizable cactus needles out of his calf or something like that.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I wasn't there for that crash, but it looked gnarly.
None of us were there for that. So that was on the very last
yeah.
day, whenever Jeff and I went back via like those canal roads all the way back up into town. Albert turned around from the point that we camped the night before and said, "I'm going to hit the single track in reverse all the way back the route that we did on the fourth day." So he went reverse by himself through that route
Yeah.
back into town. And whenever he got back, he had like taken a fall into a cactus and then had like 1.5 inch long needles stuck in the back of his calf.
Yeah. It was he was pretty scraped up, and the needles he was pulling out of himself they look rough. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you and Patty telling me about that stuff
Yeah,
when we
it's
were first chatting online.
it's I don't know, like I was given them a little bit of a I don't know what you would call it, like a biology lesson. I was telling them about the different types of cacti. We didn't see a lot of cholla, which was nice because they're the fucking devil. But we saw a lot of like prickly pear and barrel cactus. and a few hedgehog cacti, and those ones suck pretty bad too. But fortunately, I don't think anybody crashed into a hedge, or like the thing that you would most likely do is like step on a hedgehog cactus, and that would suck real bad. So yeah,
The hedgehog was the tiny short one, right?
yeah, they're like cylindrical but very low to the ground, and they have like red flowers with very
Oh,
very long needles on them.
Wasn't there a photo of one of those in here?
There's a Hey, that's real good zoom that you got there.
There was one right outside my tent on the last night that fortunately Jeff found it before we went to bed and like put rocks around it so that if anything I would stub my toe on rocks and
That's
not
a barrel
needle.
cactus. That's a fishhook barrel cactus right there.
Ah. This is a, what'd you call it?
A fishhook barrel cactus.
All right.
Sometimes, so you can see if you zoom in a little bit, you can see that like the spines are curved. You know.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes people will try to convince them like, oh, all the spines are curved. It's good luck if you go give it a high five, and then some dumbass will like fucking go and smack it.
So are these all about to flower out here then?
Yeah, those are all about to flower.
I love cactuses.
Cacti.
Cacti. Queer eye for the cacti. There's a whole show about it.
Okay. All right, whatever. Botany.
That's the next episode of
Bill,
Fitzwaters
you're the
Last
best
Day.
at botany, right? I'm
Bill
sorry,
coming
Josh.
through with the botany. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Josh. I was cutting you off because Bill was talking about botany, and we all know how much he loves that.
Bill is a flora expert.
Yeah. Bill and Woody.
Oh yeah, Woody. He's a parks guy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not really what I'm talking about, but whatever.
Oh, you're talking about drugs.
No, never.
It's legal in Ohio now.
I hope so.
Drugs.
Yeah. So that's what we did. We talked about cacti a lot.
And
I did talk about poop a lot, and yep, that was a cool thing that I did.
So what do you think? Should we wrap it up then?
I don't know. Should we? Josh, what else you got?
Not a lot. Just it was a fantastic trip. Would absolutely go back and do it again. Hopefully we'll make this into like an annual thing where we go and do some trip and get out of the dreariness of Ohio every winter. And yeah, highly recommend that place. Shout out to Outdoor Adventures, to Matt Mason for building the route and hooking us up with all the details. Celeste for hooking us up with a place to stay in Hatch.
Yeah.
And just the people of Las Cruces in general, everybody there was fucking amazing. They were all
Yes.
just like really good people. Everybody's super nice.
Super
Just
helpful.
constantly people. Like there was a dude when we were packing up on the last day, like trying to get ready to go back to the airport, that just went and was like, "Oh, did you guys get done riding the Monumental loop? Let me go buy you guys a 6-pack of beer," and just like walked into the corner store,
yeah.
bought us beer, and brought it back. So people there are just real chill.
Awesome.
Yeah. Micah made this crown of thorns. I think he probably still has it for his bike.
This is a. Oh, that's on his bike.
Yeah, he like grabbed some random barbed wire and threw it on his bike. So that's, I don't know, pretty symbolic of the route. It was like Old West dirt and everything. I don't know. It's something I'll remember for a long time. And I lived in Arizona in the desert. And, I love the desert, so I was super stoked to get out there. Yeah.
That's the arrow barb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Potatoes. Pudgy.
Before that, Micah said, great job telling the story. Richter said, great job. Alex said, come to the California desert.
Anza Borrego is pretty awesome as well. I did a lot of running there. If that's the area that you're talking about.
California's a big place.
California is a big place. You're not wrong about that. Anza Borrego is.
Unlike Botanicals, this part is called geography.
I don't know if you know this, but I used to teach geography.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
So you know a thing or two.
I know a little bit. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, why don't we wrap it up?
Okay.
Josh, thanks for patching in. It was fun to chat.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Hopefully, get to see you guys soon. Tell Joy Machines to plan a couple more campouts.
We got one coming up.
We've got one coming up, actually. I think there's going to be a 420 camp out. I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but we'll shout that out, plug it in. Roach Clips and Joy Machines joint venture for 420.
420 Woody Joy Machines joint venture.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, thanks again, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See ya.
All right. Yeah. Fitzwater photo.